Welcome everybody to tonight's coverage of the AGL. I am Bo3, and joining me to my other side is not actually the bully, but this is Romeo. How you doing tonight, Romeo?
I'm doing good. How are you doing today?
I'm feeling pretty great. We do have tonight DePaul University Red versus Tufts University C. Both of these teams have been struggling so far in the AGL, both sitting on 0-2 in their game record. Both teams are really looking for that jumping off point for their season to start, wanting to get that first win to propel themselves into playoff contention.
Yeah, of course, getting that first win can be a huge stepping stone, especially the first series win. We know that so far, Tufts have been able to pick up a game win, but ultimately in that series against TD Cheers, they did lose 2-1. So trying to find the first series win and get that initial win on your record can be a huge propelling point going further into the series.
Yeah, it is going to be a big deal for both of these teams to find that first win, to grab that momentum. Again, going into that playoff contention, trying to get towards that middle of the roster above that sixth seed where that playoff cutoff is. We do already have our bans underway. We've got Amumu and Gangplank taken away by DePaul University. And meanwhile, the Caitlin and the Silas are being banned away by Tufts.
Now, we were discussing before this what we think both these teams' win cons could be. And I don't think I'm too surprised with the Amumu getting banned out, because I feel like that's been one of the stronger support jungle flexes throughout Season 13 so far. It allows for ADCs to play safe while you get a roaming support if needed. It's got that really, really strong true damage passive. And even after the nerfs that just came out on 13.3, the reduced mana cost hasn't actually affected either lane, I don't find.
Yeah, it feels like Amumu is still definitely one of the, if you're going to be picking an engaged support, not an enchanter, it's one of the stronger supports that you will be playing. It's something along the lines of Nautilus Leona, where you are going in, providing a lot of AoE CC for your team, giving your team the ability to wombo combo on top of you.
For sure, and it's such a easy to execute champion that provides such a great team fighting ability that I find it's always been in the Season 13 meta, something that you can just kind of draft and build any team you want around the Amumu. But right now, we're going to be getting into our first pick here.
Yeah, the Xayah is locked in for DePaul University Red. We were talking a little bit before the draft what we thought each team's win condition for each side would be. I was looking at DePaul University and saying Ramen Hoodlum and Pudgy Dodge have a good amount of bot lane synergy between the two of them. They have good champion picks that can work together. I was really hoping to see something like a Lucian Nami for them, as Ramen is a good Lucian player, at very least in solo queue. But it looks like they're going to opt for potentially the Xayah Rakan, maybe something like Xayah Nautilus, another support that can provide a lot of CC with her. I don't think this is bad. I just want to see them get aggressive in this lane and make something happen early.
Now, the thing with Xayah is she's really good at disengage, so you're kind of hoping to play off the enemy ADC's mistakes and then follow up with, of course, the feather stuns, letting them fly at them, and you just do such an abrasive amount of damage that you don't always see coming from a Xayah. And I think depending on what the support lock in here is for her, it could definitely be one of those things where they're just looking for a slight slip up from Tufts to be able to find an advantage. And of course, right now, Tufts is playing with a substitute ADC, so that could come into play when you're looking for mistakes.
Yeah, it is worth mentioning that Tufts is playing, I think, with two substitutes this time around, Artiuno Attic and Rando Kato, not on their main roster, so we'll have to see how that affects team synergy, calls during the mid and late game, especially a very important deal. We were also talking about before, for Tufts, the ability to give Based in Black, their jungler, a carry-style champion, something he's comfortable on. The Echo was something that we've seen banned against him in series before, but this time it's let through, and Tufts is comfortable picking that up in the first rotation.
Now, of course, Based in Black being able to play their Echo pick here could be huge. Of course, it's a very strong carry jungler that scales throughout the game and also can provide a lot of early game impact. I mean, of course, Echo is one of those champions that gets way stronger once they unlock their ultimate. So it'll be interesting to see whether he's looking for those early ganks, trying to get the baseball swing in there to stun an opponent, maybe focus around mid lane as he's swapping sides. But I expect once the ultimate is obtained, Based in Black's going to start making a massive impact on the Rift if King K-Mac hasn't already done so.
Yeah, I do like the drafts that both teams have solidified for themselves already. We've got the Seraphine and the Maokai followed up behind that Xayah for DePaul University, and Tufts having locked in their bot lane with Kaisa and Leona. So this bot lane, I think we're expecting to see a lot of early brawling, a lot of skirmishing, and a lot of aggressive plays. Kaisa and Leona definitely a lane where you're trying to play up in your opponent's face, get aggressive since level 2, and just put them down into the dirt. And Xayah Seraphine is not a lane that's uncomfortable playing into that style.
Not at all. The other thing is Seraphine is a very, very strong flex pick right now. I've been seeing Seraphine more and more drafted mid if the matchup suits them. So should they decide they're looking for maybe a Rakan or something to go support instead, there's always that option of putting Jackie onto the Seraphine. And furthermore, I expect Xayah and Seraphine, if they can get out the first 6 levels, I mean, once you get the Encores and feathers flying across the map, they just become such a strong bot lane duo. You just have the Encore go out, and with all the feathers that's going to be stacked behind them before the Encore ends, you can just kind of stun them. They're instantly right sent to the gray screen.
Yeah, it is worth mentioning the team fight setup for DePaul University right now with Maokai plus Seraphine alone, let alone the Xayah on top of that, is a disgusting amount of crowd control to set up for Xayah, just free swinging away however much damage she wants to get around. And it's going to be difficult for a short-range AD carry like Kaisa, for an assassin like Echo, to make the space in the team fight for that to be viable for them to play through. But we do have our second rotation of bans coming through. We already see Tufts University taking away the Jace and the Syndra, targeting down those solo lanes, trying to make I would say an aggressive read that Seraphine is going to be headed towards that bottom side. And meanwhile, DePaul really pinching down on that mid lane pool, taking away the Kassadin and the Rise from Artiano Addict.
Now, if I'm completely honest, when I'm looking at Tufts, I'm definitely thinking they're looking for a strong bit of CC coming from these top and mid lane picks. Whereas when you're looking at DePaul, I think the one thing they heavily lack right now is damage. I mean, of course, Maokai can build Leandres and do a ton, but I think overall, you have the CC, you have the team fight going. I expect a mid lane pick here that's probably going to be an abrasive AP threat, and a top laner here that either going to be a little bit tanky but can fight, maybe something like a Renekton, or maybe they gun-ho it with a split pusher or a Fiora. I'm expecting a lot more damage to come out from the top and mid laners of DePaul.
Yeah, it is worth mentioning right now for anybody in the audience watching, there is still a ban out on Aurelion Sol. He's not able to be played just yet, given that patch was recently. And Tufts University have locked in the Victor for themselves in the mid lane. Like we're talking about a team fight oriented mid laner, someone who can play aggressive in the mid lane, and that is an Annie lock in. You were talking about potential damage for DePaul University Red. Annie, kind of the queen of the easy to execute burst one shots in terms of mid lane champions. I love this pick. You still have that flexibility between Seraphine and Annie if you want to bring Annie down to the bottom lane. I'm not sure you do with this draft, but I think it's definitely possible. And it gives DePaul University a little bit more freedom in their top side for some kind of carry champion for their top laner. They're going to opt for the tank and really play fully for this Xayah. I got to say, I love this DePaul draft.
I love a Dr. Mundo coming out anytime I watch competitive. I play the hell out of that champion, and I said they need something tanky, right? Mundo is just that. You can throw as much damage as you want at Mundo. Once he gets either the Heart Steal, if they decide to go down that route, he can run down Kaisa. He can run down Echo without a trace. And with Radiant Virtue, keeping champions like Xayah, Annie, Maokai alive when they're up in the faces of Tufts is a really simple thing to do. On Tufts side, I mean, when you're looking at their team, the one thing I find that's going to be very hard for them to execute, especially into DePaul, is not CC, but the team fight, right? Contesting objectives for Tufts is going to be very, very difficult. The one thing they do have on them is if they can find their way to the 35 minute mark, their champions are very, very strong. You'll have an upgraded Kaisa and level 16 Echo and a Victor who has all of his upgrades. If they can get deep into the game, I do think it's their game to win. But the problem is, how do you contest an objective against DePaul's draft?
Yeah, this is a really, really scrappy draft. I would say from both teams. Kaisa Leona, a lane that wants to play early and aggressive and play for that early fight. But champions like Victor really want to just sit back and play passive in lane, collect their Hex Core fragments, scale up. Kled, I think, is a stunning pick in this draft, actually, bringing in that inherent anti-heal with that bear trap on a rope into Mundo. Love to see that. And also just a really, really beefy front line for your Kaisa and your easier Victor to play through. It's really what this draft was lacking. So I love that pick from Tufts. It's going to have a good time in lane versus Mundo. It's going to have a good time in the team fight as well. I think there's a lot of potential for this draft. I'm excited to see what this early game is going to look like. Because like you were mentioning, how do you contest early objectives against Seraphine, against Mundo, against Maokai? This is an early game that if Tufts can manage to navigate through it and make themselves into that late game without being too far behind, they've got a solid chance of winning this game out. But I would say just given on the early game priority and the early game potential that they've got, this is definitely DePaul's game to win.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really going to be around who can execute their style of play better. One of them feels a lot more solo queue focused. One of them feels a lot more competitive focused. But I don't think either of those things are better than the other. It really just depends on the execution. Of course, a champion like Pled can easily find their way ahead of Mundo without the help of a jungler. Champions like Victor can easily just control a wave over Annie as long as they don't get caught by a Maokai or a stun, right? And like you've been saying, Kai'Sa Leona is a very, very oppressive bot lane. So when you're looking at it like that, for sure, these first 15 minutes of the game is where they need to find that lead to really make an impact. And I'm expecting them to try to contest the pre-level 6 dragons, whether it's right when it spawns, maybe get that first herald and really try to find the gold lead early. Because I don't think it's going to be something that's going to be as easy for them once they start fighting as a team.
Yeah, I think we've got genuinely a very exciting game one. We were a little bit concerned, I would say, at the top of the day, just like, oh man, both of these teams are kind of 0-2. They've been a little bit underperforming in this league, but they have come into this draft with confidence. And that's exactly what you need in a league like this. You need to be confident in your style of play, refine it to its point, play your game as opposed to what really is the meta. Because we have to remember, we are in the AGL. This is the gold platinum level, a little bit below as well. We're not playing in the Challenger League. We're not playing in the NALCS. We're not playing in the LCK. This is closer to a solo queue environment, even when you have all 5 players. So you have to be sort of like hedging your bets on, okay, we know this champion's like really good in the meta right now. Like we know everybody's picking Lucian, Nami, Zeri, Lulu, and that's like the premier bot lanes. But we don't play Nami Lucian that well. We don't play Zeri Lulu that well. What do our AD carries play well? Kai'Sa, Xayah. So we're going to pick these and hedge our bets more towards our comfort than towards that meta.
And that being said, even when you're looking at challenger play, we see some really, really interesting plays that flip games on their head, let alone how often that's going to happen in a league like this. Sure, they're down 0-2 in series, both these teams, right? But it's still only 2 series deep in the season. Anything could happen. Any team can still make or fall out of playoffs. And with this game, sure, you're looking and you're like, okay, these are 2 teams that are on the bottom, right? But when you're also looking at it, what it means is what happens when one of these teams find momentum. We've seen a lot of subs on these teams as well. What happens when the full squad starts playing together? And what happens once these teams really start to find what their bind is, what the team identity is? Once you start finding these things, it can really change the course of a season from going like this to shooting right back up like that. So I think as long as these teams can really find where their head's at and how they want to play, whichever team gets this win, it could definitely be game changing for them throughout the rest of this season.
Absolutely. We are going to be taking a short break before we head into our first game. We're just waiting on that spectator delay. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right here. We hope you stay right here for game 1 of Tufts University C versus DePaul University Academy Red.
Thank you.
We are back, just getting ourselves into game one of DePaul University Red versus Tufts University C. I am still What Brady. This is still Romeo next to me, and hopefully we're going to get some level 1 action with the Leona and the Barrier Ignite Kled. Oh, I'm already excited to watch top lane.
Yeah, no flashes in top lane at all. We got TP Ghost, which, I mean, I'm not surprised. Ghost Mundo means this guy knows how to play Mundo. And Ignite Barrier means, yeah, it's going to be a bloody top lane. Of course, we have the blue side here. DePaul, I believe, they are taking it as safe as they can, stacking in a bush and bot lane, saying, we don't want no smoke level 1. We're waiting to play. We're waiting for the team fights, which I think makes a lot of sense for them.
Yeah, it looks like King KMC is going to start on that top side, as they did leave that Xayah on the bottom side just to get that ward down and play in the lane for a little bit. I think just to make sure that the Kai'Sa Leona didn't get any sort of early priority on them. They didn't sneak into that first brush just to get a little cheesy level 1 damage off. I do also want to point out, in terms of runes and summoner spells while we're talking about it, this is a Dark Harvest Seraphine. This is not the support utility that you normally would have expected. This is going to be a damage dealer.
And I'm not gonna lie, I'm not sure if I'm a big fan of that. I think it really depends how Ramen and Pooji want to play the lane, right? If they're just playing soft, doing a lot of poke damage, then yeah, that Dark Harvest is going to matter a lot later in the game. But if they start looking for like poke damage and going all in, then I think that Dark Harvest could be very, very detrimental to that bot lane. They're really kind of committing to just being a scaling bot lane, and maybe King KMC should be focusing elsewhere. We see they're pathing towards bot side here, but I mean, I feel like Dark Harvest is one of those runes where you're not looking to commit to a lot of fights.
Yeah, you really want to be grabbing your stacks in the early game when you hit like an item and a half. That's when you're really starting to like get aggressive once you have the stacks on that rune. But yeah, like you said in the early game, just playing a little bit for poke. This is the lethal tempo Xayah. It is not the airy, lethality, weird kind of Xayah poke that we used to see for a little bit. So I'm happy to see normal 80 carry rune setup in that regard. But it is really just going to be on Pudgy to get the poke on in this early lane. Xayah's not going to be providing as much.
Yeah, I think yeah, for those reasons, I think it's definitely interesting to see Maokai headed bot rather than top, where maybe he and Mundo can make a play. But we do see Based in Black already lining up to get one of those ganks off. He hit level 3 on his blue side, and it is now already sprinting to the bottom lane.
Echo's walking into this bottom lane right now. The Leona's going to get in with that Zenith Blade. The flash and the cleanse immediately burned from Ramen Hoodlum. He will get himself under tower. A nice route onto Echo just to make sure that he's able to walk away. Or maybe going to look for a bit of extra damage onto Based in Black. The Dark Harvest Frog doing damage, but they are both teams just going to be walking away from that play. Summoners traded.
And look at that. The Dark Harvest, it appears we were already wrong. The Dark Harvest already coming in. Very handy. But one thing I noticed about that gank, yeah, you're going to burn the Flash of Ramen. You burn the Cleanse of Ramen. It's good if you can find the repeat gank. But the biggest problem I see is they decided to clear blue side and gank bot rather than doing maybe a more creative clear path. They could have went red, blue, Gromp. They could have went red, Raptors, Gromp. Been there in the same amount of time. But also now they could just... They have to walk all the way across the map to clear camps the way they only cleared their blue side, rather than being able to walk back into their blue side after that gank. So they're going to be wasting a lot of time. Meanwhile, King KMC is able to farm, looking for the double scuttle. It's looking kind of good for the side of DePaul right now.
Yeah, I do want to point out in that bottom lane, Rando right now is under half HP and has burned through all 3 of the potions on that longsword. But in the meantime, Ramen Hoodlove has not used any of his normal potions, hasn't eaten through 1 biscuit so far, but is above half HP. Is feeling totally fine as we get a bit of an engage down here. They do want to try to get on top of this Xayah, but Kaisa is getting a little bit low HP, and I stunned from Rosie's going to make sure that Ramen Hoodlum does not get in, but now Based in Black has the return gank, is going to line up the stun, doesn't land it, but gets the shield for himself, platform for the auto attack, the root comes through, but it's still first blood for Based in Black at the bot side.
That is a very, very strong first blood. We can see the tent already set up bot lane. Hasn't even cleared the red buff yet, but it worked out. They got the repeat gank, and the Flash, of course, burned earlier, and now they've burnt Seraphine Flash as well, which means if they continue to come back to this bot lane, that could be a couple more free kills lined up for Based in Black.
Yeah, I do want to point out the pathing that Based in Black took. Full clear bottom side, gank bot, walk up towards top, clear those Raptors, investigate that top side scuttle, give it over to Maokai, and just immediately book it back down towards the bottom side to get that gank off again. We love the creative pathing.
Like, I can't say as a jungle main I'm a fan of it for sure, but if it's working, it's working. And if it continues to work, I don't think there's a reason to change it up. If they keep coming out with these unexpected ganks and finding the kill pressure, it could be very strong. My only fear is once we see Ramen Bougie hit level 6, doing that's going to be a whole lot harder.
Yeah, once they have that level 6, that pure disengage with the Featherstorm and the Encore, and even potential re-engage with those ultimates, it's certainly a lot riskier of a gank, but hopefully we'll see Based in Black hitting level 6 before the enemy bot lane does, so potentially he will have access to that Chrono Break to get himself into safety in terms of that potential disaster lining up on the bottom side.
I mean, I can't say with how little camps they've cleared that they're gonna hit level 6 first, to be completely honest with you. But they are still taking peaks in lanes, and this early map pressure can be good if they keep out
the mid lane, flash forward from King KMC. The Chaos Storm is down onto Jackie. He's going to be ticking away. Fails the flash over the wall, but I don't think the Chaos Storm is going to be fast enough. Oh, it is! RDUno Addict is going to pick up the kill in response.
And I'm not going to lie to you. I can... Oh, wait a minute.
We're not done yet. Rosie's looking for a engage on the bottom side, but I don't think this is exactly the engage he wants to go for. Just going to be forced to walk away, just using that Glacial Augment to try and deny a little bit of CS.
To be completely honest with you, I can feel the tilt from Jackie right now. You almost have the perfect 1-0 on Victor. And it happens to everyone, right? Your mouse can be just a little bit pointed onto the wrong side of the wall, maybe even in the wall, and it just barely fails the flash, right? But it's got to be very aggravating, especially when you're against a Victor, right? Who every takedown gets him that much closer to being able to upgrade that laser, which becomes the most oppressive thing about Victor mid lane.
Yeah, he's got to get closer to that glorious evolution. I apologize for that awful accent, but you get the idea. He wants to upgrade that to get that perfect hex score to start getting himself more on the map. Even just that first upgrade to get that laser upgraded. Like you said, better wave clear, better poke, better roaming potential. It really unlocks Victor.
Yeah, of course, like you said, in America, Victor upgrades laser, but on the Summoner Rift, laser upgrade Victor.
We do have King KMC at the top side here. He's going to use the Nature's Grass just to get a little bit closer to Ariok. He's going to find his way in. The Bramble Smash to get behind. King, they're going to try and get the kill over to King KMC, but this is the remount from Khaled, which means he will survive that engage at the top side, just burning that barrier for himself. And that will mean the early Dragon is gifted over to Tufts as well.
I was on the edge of my seat for that fight. One auto attack from Death, and that remount comes up to save Ariox. and that's gotta feel good. It's a dragon for nothing right now on the side of Tufts. And of course, Echo's still looking to that bot lane. You see him there hovering the tri-bush, looking to maybe find something on Pooji and Ramen. Based in Black is level 6 now. They got the chrono trigger ready to go, so...
Yeah, I do think it's a little strange how early Kind Inquisitor peeled off from that top play. That's something like when you're doing the VOD review after the game, you're looking back on that play and you're like, I had enough HP. I probably could have stayed and gotten that one last auto attack to really change how that fight ends up going. But in the game, it's just sort of that decision you have to wipe away from your mind, say, all right, kind of a misplay, whatever, we move on from it.
And the thing is, too, the gold lead isn't very big. It's a kill difference. We're looking at just under 1,000 gold league. The only thing they have
Black wants to find the all-in the mid lane, uses that E onto the tower, but still gets plenty of damage onto Jackie 3, 4, 5, 6. And Timbers will try to get a kill in retribution, but Artiuna's a little bit too healthy for that one.
Wow, that was a very, very intelligent tower dive there. That worked pretty well, perfectly. You can't even expect that if you're Jackie, can you?
Yeah, that's the kind of play where you just say, hey, I'm standing under my tower. I'm playing as safe as I can. What more do you expect me to do in that situation? No flash, no teleport here. But King KMC has found Artiuna on the recall, so that is going to be delayed a little bit. Artiuna will be forced to push this wave in. That might potentially mess around with his reset timers, but we already see Artiuna has that upgraded laser. We're really going to start seeing Victor unlocked and unleashed.
And the thing is, an unlocked Unleashed Victor is horrifying, especially 9 minutes in the game. They got a level a minute at the moment here. The Leandri's already purchased. They got the bounty on their head, but a bounty on a champion's head just means they are very, very strong. And we could see a lot coming out of the Victor. Being able to push these waves is going to be a lot easier. We could start seeing him roaming to objectives as well, helping them secure early heralds. Of course, we got another dragon spawning in 2.5 minutes, which I'd be surprised to see Tufts not go for. I think this is a very, very good spot for them to be in.
Yeah, the Victor, I also have to just say, I love that he's going for the Leanders in this situation. Knows he's going to be the full tank Maokai. Knows he's going to be into full tank Mundo as well. We're going to have to put that on pause as Based in Black is potentially caught out a little bit as King KMC really wants this early Rift Herald. And a nice roam from Jackie Numbers means that he should be able to get it just fine. Based in Black is still staying around a little bit, though. We do have the roam up from Pudgy Dodge. They're going to be able to guarantee that Rift Herald for themselves. But in the meantime, in the bottom side, Xayah is potentially getting punished. A nice cleanse into the Feather Storm to get away from that Solar Flare. A good two-man root, but the stun comes through from Rosie anyway. The Ignite is ticking, but it's not going to be enough damage. I think maybe if Rando flashes forward, there's a potential kill there, but Artiuno is here! Picks up the last hit. This is now a 3-kill victory. Goes on a killing spree.
That is a quality roam. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit surprised when Tufts didn't commit Colette and Victor to the Heralds. I do think they probably would have won that fight even with Pooji there, but the ability for their bot lane to punish Ramen and Artiuno to know, okay, they're gonna be looking to punish, I'm gonna be there if they're able to get away, means you just get so much. They burn Ramen's flash, they burn Ramen's cleanse, they put them back to the gray screen, they cost them a wave and a half, they get some plating. Everyone is eating tonight in that mid and bot lane for Tufts University.
Yeah, that's a huge loss for this Xayah. The flash especially, I think, is such a big deal for such a short-range AD carry. Oh, we've got to put it, play in the bottom, in the mid lane right now. Artiuno is going to be forced to burn that stopwatch. Based in Black is over the wall, trying to get any help towards his mid laner, but it's just not in time. Jackie's going to pick up that shutdown. A nice flash away from Jackie in the mid lane to make sure that he does not die to the Echo Burst, and that's a flash burn by Based in Black to try and make that play happen. So that's a kill and a flash traded for the flash. You're pretty happy with that one.
Oh, you gotta be very, very happy with that one, especially because the kill is a bounty, and a pretty big one at that. You're able to kill the Fed Victor, which means an extra 350 gold for that kill onto Annie, and it makes that mid lane a little bit more survivable for her.
Yeah, the Annie, I think, is going to be important in this game as well. Like, we were talking about the Victor getting unlocked and unleashed, a pretty big deal for him being the Leanders user for this Tufts University side. They have the ability to tank shred outside of Kaisa, which is pretty important. But Annie is really, like, the other half of the engage for this DePaul University Red outside of the Maokai Ultimate or outside of the Seraphine Encore. If you don't have someone to follow up on top of that CC with a ton of burst damage and CC of her own, it becomes a lot more difficult to take advantage of these powerful ultimates.
Yeah, of course. And I think one thing it is worth mentioning, though, like from a micro level, the way DePaul played that fight mid, which is so incredible. They stacked the CC pretty well pixel perfect to be able to take down Artiuno. And if they're able to play like that, once the team fighting phase is, sure, they lost that second dragon to the chem tank. But now that Mountain's up, I expect to start seeing them maybe start rotating for these upcoming dragons.
Ooh, bit of fight on the top side here. The Ignite and the Barrier are both burned by Aeriox. He's going to pull Mundo back, but he's just going to pop that ultimate and go where he pleases. Anti-healing damn, he's going to be fine to walk away.
Yeah, and of course, Mundo's got one of those survivability ultimates. It just allows him to just do whatever he pleases. Mundo goes where he pleases. That's not a statement, that's a fact. And honestly, it's going to be a spoiler for team fights coming up. Because another thing to mention, right, is I was talking about a draft. Mundo's able to run down someone immobile or an 80.
The Encore is going to find two. Beautiful shot from Pudgy Dot. Is going to bring the flash and the heal immediately from Rando. The Nature's Grasp is not going to find its mark. Just walked away from on that one, but that is 2 summoners for free. You're so happy to take that one if you're DePaul.
You are very happy to take that one. And of course, those summoners going to be down for Dragon. Jackie almost getting chunked there. But overall, what I was getting at before, Mundo... Oh, wait a minute. I'll let you go ahead and talk about this, because that Herald is going to be crashing into the tower hard.
Yeah, big Herald crash. It is post 14 minutes, so no plates to come out of that first Herald. That's a pretty big detriment for DePaul, but that's still close to getting first tower down. This was post-nerfed Herald. They decided that it wasn't really fair that the first Herald always got a ridiculous amount of gold out of the plates, especially after the plates got buffed in the way that they did. So they decided, you know what, Herald, you're going to do a little bit less damage, because we've got to play on the top side right now, based in black, looking to get aggressive onto this moon. Oh my god, he's just deleted based in black. Picks up his second kill.
And maybe Mundo doesn't go where he pleases. If he goes to his lane, he actually got chunked really hard there. I wasn't expecting him to go down like that. And that's a pre-mythic Echo doing that much damage to a Dr. Mundo. So, I mean, once we get to these team fights is where it's going to get interesting, because my prediction is that Kind Lick...
Black is not done. Almost lines up the stun in the mid lane, but a nice sidestep from Jack is going to keep him safe. He flashes in, but the bear is flashed back in response. Based in Black is going to use that chrono break to get himself out. Jackie now trying to just survive. Based in Black, he's going to find the Dark Harvest to pick himself up the last of it. Now King KMC is here to look for revenge for his mid laner. The sapling will not find its target, but the Nature's Wrath is on its way. Adrian gets picked. Artiuno gets picked up by that grasp and gets knocked down by King KMC, and now the bot lane has rotated up to support their jungler. They pick up the shutdown gold on Based in Black. That's 600 extra gold going into Zaya's pockets.
And this is just straight up why Maokai's the best jungler in the game right now. You could do things like that, just pop the Nature's Grasp, tanky enough to be like, yeah, I'm going to survive whatever they throw at me. And on top of that, he's got demonics now. He just does a ton of damage as well. Deleted the last quarter of Victor's health bar without even a second's thought. And as we get later and later on, that Maokai is only going to be harder and harder to deal with as it just gets tankier and tankier. If he does go the Leandre's route here, which I kind of expect, going to just be doing a ton of damage. You can't walk near bushes because the saplings will eat you alive. And in a mobile champion like Victor, how do they ever get away from the CC of Maokai?
Yeah, it's really difficult for this Tufts University team to actually face check into these Maokai brushes to have any sort of champion who's comfortable tanking the damage from those saplings. As we see up in the top side, Aeriox just having a field day. Meantime, we got an engage on the bottom side, almost great CC layering, but it's just not enough to knock down Pudgy Dog. But he picks up the Seraphine Encore. Ramen Hoodlum gets himself the last hit on that one, and now Rosie Yang forced to just sit and attempt to walk away. He's going to try and get the turnaround onto Pudgy, but he will not have the damage. Seraphine survives. King KMC picks up the kill.
It was a good last-ditch effort, but unfortunately, Leona's just not going to be doing enough damage. Speaking of damage in this mid lane, holy!
Yeah, lots of Victor damage. This is the power of that unleashed Victor. He's got that Leandre's and the Hextech alternator in inventory. So the burst damage that's coming out just from this full combo is so huge. This is something that Jackie has to respect.
And it's been 20 minutes of blood throughout this game. We're getting close to the Baron spot. Oh my god.
Ooh, the Ignite's burnt top lane, but Mudo's got the ultimate on. He's got the W healing as well. He's going to be able to just walk away from this again. Somehow surviving that one. Not even burning the ghost, just trading Ignite for ultimate Based in Black. I don't think wants to let him survive, but I don't know if you have the damage to kill this Mundo, Echo. This might be a fight you don't want to take. He's got the E lined up. He's got the Rocket Belt in inventory. He's looking for some damage. Aeriox wants to get remounted. He wants to get back on. And I think they're just going to to take this tower instead and let Mundo walk away. Oh, maybe not. Hang on. Cled's going to pop that charge. They're going to get down onto Mundo. The burst damage comes through. Based in Black finds his fourth.
And Liquister tried so hard to fight the 2v1, and it looked good until it didn't. Well, this means that his team is going to be able to pick up that dragon. The first dragon for them is going to extend the potential for Tufts to get a soul by an additional 5 minutes. And I think their team is kind of looking for that. Mundo's lane finally broken open. I mean, I'm interested to see if this is where they start trying to help their team at objectives. Maybe start burning that TP to try to find their way in team fights to be a big tank threat inside of them, because that lane has been very, very rough for Kind Liquizitor.
Yeah, it's been a really volatile lane. Kled just really having his way with the laning phase. That's what happens when you take these two combat summoners into a lane versus a tank. It's really hard for Mundo to trade into the Ignite and into the barrier. And with Kled having that remounting capabilities, it's so difficult to try and play through that lane as a tank. And I would say, honestly, Kind Inquisitor, you've lost this lane with grace. Going down 2 kills doesn't feel great, but you're practically even in CS. You're even in terms of itemization. You're feeling okay with your spot in this game because you're still Mundo. You're still a disgustingly good tank. You're going to find this late game at some point. Once you get that 2-3 items in your inventory, eventually you'll just be unkillable.
And of course, with him being weak-sided, Ramen is significantly ahead of Randu right
Based
now.
in Black is trying to make the dive happen again. Jackie gets the shield on himself. The immediate chrono break is used by Based in Black. I think this Rift Herald is just going to take down this tower. Based in Black looking for a little bit more, but King KMC here to support us in mid laner. It is just going to be the tower traded for that Rift Herald.
And yeah, Based in Black went for it. We've seen the bear drop, and at that point, Based in Black didn't want any more of the smoke. But for some reason, Kind Liquizitor still wants the smoke against Aeriox. Knows Based in Black isn't there to help Kled this time, and he's ready for a fight.
Yeah, this is when you as the top laner, you start like typing in all chat like, oh hey, not so tough without your jungler now. But I think Kind Inquisitor is regretting his decisions as the slow is going to come through from that bear trap on a rope. Kind Inquisitor is going to try and walk away, just get the grasp and the heartsteel stacks off of Aeriox. He gets him dismounted again, but Kled still has access to that barrier. Kind Inquisitor, I don't think you win this 1 versus 1. He's playing it really close to the edge, but they're both going to survive with just a sliver of HP and walk away.
And like an Elton John song, he's still standing taller than he ever did, looking like a true survivor, and after surviving that, probably feeling like a little kid.
Yeah, honestly, he got exactly what he wanted out of that trade. He got Heartsteel and Grasp stacks. Based in Black, he's going to look for a punish here onto Ramen Hoodlum. Rosie Yang is over the wall. Ramen Hoodlum still has that Flash Cleanse and Ultimate, all the defensive tools, but it's not using a single one. Just aggressing into this Tufts University front line and feeling totally fine. But now the teleport is on the back line for Artiuno. They're going to finally burn that Featherstorm from Zaya, but it's just a deletion on the Victor. He'll pick up Pudgy in response, but now Based in Black potentially getting caught. Jackie's going to find the last hit on that one. Kaisa's using that killer didn't seem to get in, but that's a Maokai you're getting on top of. I'm not sure if that's the smoke you want. King KMC will find the last hit on that one. Ramen did get picked up by Aeriox on the back of that fight, and it's a bloody fight, but it's 3 for 3 at the end of it.
A 3 for 3. It looked like one team was about to break the game open, but ultimately, it's an even trade across the board here. But a bloodbath as the bodies line the mid lane here. That was an incredible fight. Of course, Kind Liquizitor got there right at the tail end of it. It was looking really close. Kled being able to run down, but we've seen some really good plays out of that Zaya that was kind of the pivotal point of that entire fight. Holding the feathers, holding the flash, holding the cleanse until eventually they did finally get caught. It was almost looking like they were going to pick apart the team at that encore, but of course, Artiuno kind of just sacrificed himself to let his team live.
Yeah, honestly, it's always so incredible when you watch these players play and they don't panic. They feel totally calm and comfortable in these very dangerous situations. You see an Echo and a Leona potentially ready to dive on top of you. You're playing Zaya and you're still like, okay, try and dive me. I've got all my defensive tools. You're just threatening them with how strong your flash is, how strong your ultimate ability is. You're telling them, hey, if you're going to dive me, I'm going to be able to get out of it.
Yeah, and you don't want to be taking those tower shots, especially when a Maokai is standing right behind me. It's a second from death for you if you even make the tiniest slip-up coming at me. But now, the tiniest slip-up for either of these teams could matter greatly as this second Mountain Drake spawns for the team of Tufts. It will put them on soul point, whereas it could be the second Mountain Drake on the side of DePaul. It is going to be one hell of a team fight lining up. Of course, Annie's still in the side lane with
Saplings are
PP.
doing so much damage. Rando Cattle already under half HP just from the sapling damage alone. Maokai is opting for the Leandry's build, so this is going to be a lot of burn coming through from this Maokai. Both teams have set up fully. You've got Jackie on the top side. He's got that teleport, but he's really trying to get pressure on to that top lane tower. Beast in Black tries to get the flash in, but doesn't find anything. Jackie's finally going to teleport into this fight. The Chaos Storm is burning King KMC away, but he's still totally comfortable. He's feeling fine. The Nature's Grasp is going to find its mark on a couple of important members here. Kind Inquisitor is trying to get on the back line, but the burst comes through too much. The team is not ready for follow-up. A nice solar flare from Rosie Yang is going to keep the rest of DePaul University away. The Chrono Break is going to finally be burned. The Bayer from Jackie is doing a lot of damage here. King AMC finds the sapling and picks up Rando Cattle, but now Artiona's over the wall. The Featherstorm flies away from Ramen. He's going to be able to survive. Jackie's going to find the burst onto Ariox, and suddenly DePaul University have blown up this team fight. Based in Black, though, doesn't want to give up this dragon. He's going to try and find his way in. I don't think it's possible. The dragon down to 4K, down to 3K. It's ticking. Jackie's on the flank. He's found Based in Black. The stun comes through from punching at the maximum distance, but it's still Based in Black will be able to survive. It is the dragon confirmed for DePaul University.
That team fight just broke open the game, and now DePaul kind of sitting in the driver's seat here. They're going to try to find that first mid-turret, which they do. The map looking even, the gold count looking even. They're stacking over 18% of armor and magic resist from those two Mountain Drakes. And just such a well-played fight on each side. We've seen a little bit of over-aggression, but it was looking close until it wasn't. And unfortunately for Tufts, DePaul has been able to leave a mark. And of course, we kind of expected this. You look at the two drafts, and DePaul has such great team fight ability with their squad. And now it's on Tufts to say, are we going to keep committing to these team fights? Or do we maybe start looking for a different way? Do we maybe start looking for a Kled to try to split push while we just try to poke him out? And look that way to try to gain an advantage, especially when team fights are likely going to keep going like that in the future.
Now, obviously, I'm up here on the caster desk. I'm not down there playing, so I don't know if the players are thinking the same way that I am. But if I'm looking at this Tufts University team, I'm seeing a lot of really good single target pick. You have the Leona, you have Victor, you have Kaisa as well. If Leona hits the solar flare on one target and you just blow them out of the water before the fight even starts, suddenly you can take a 4 versus 5, even a couple of ultimates down, and you're feeling a lot more comfortable. But so far, all of these fights have been straight up 5v5s. Ramen Hoodlum doesn't have the flash, the cleanse, or the ult. He gets blown up and deleted. Based in Black is going to find that one, but he doesn't have the Chrono Break for himself. Just kidding. Finally gets it off. Plenty of damage in, but King KMC will find the last hit there. And it's a 1-for-1 in the mid lane, but that is a lot of gold given over to Based in Black again.
And that's one of the difficulties, though, of trying to find the pick, like you mentioned. If they can do it, it's definitely a fight they can swing. But as you notice, even if Maokai or Seraphine are an inch too close when you go for that pick, somebody on your team's going to get deleted right back just because of the mass amount of lockdown that DePaul University has.
Oh, Kind Inquisitor, I think, is actually potentially winning this. He's totally happy, just continuing to take these trades. He finally is going to pop that ultimate for himself. But Rando Cato is rotated up. He's got the killer instinct. He's got the look in his eyes. He's found the kill. But Jackie's going to try and flash in it and get the kill. But he didn't see that Rosie Yang was nearby. But the bear gets dropped anyway. Jackie picks up the kill. But now is stuck alone in the 1 versus 3. Burns his stopwatch, but dies anyway. Gets the shutdown gold over to Artiono.
I got to ask you a question here. Do you know what the definition of insanity is?
I think I've heard this one before, but run it by me anyway.
It's doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And I've just watched Kind Inquisitor run at the Kled for the 3rd time and expect a different result. And unfortunately, I think if DePaul are to continue to try to find winning fights, Kind Inquisitor needs to accept the fact that this Kled is significantly stronger than him. It is a counter to Mundo, and he needs to stop taking these fights and just commit to showing up at objectives first with his team.
Yeah, this is the kind of spot where you're sitting in the game and you're like, okay, the last 3 fights haven't worked out for me. I don't think this 4th one will. Let's just sit back under my tower, let Kled push into me, farm up the minions under tower, because, like, he's strong, but he can't tower dive me. I'm still Mundo. I'm still really tanky. But as long as I'm here for my team, as long as I'm making space for my Xayah, for my Annie, they're going to win this game for me.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, Mundo might not be able to do a lot against Kled, but when you look at him in a matchup maybe against Victor or just in a team fight in general, his cleaver provides so much poke, and even against Kled, when it comes to team fights, if they're dancing around a pit, the percent max health damage does a lot. It's just in 1v1 isolation, when he is standing face down at Kled and Skarner, or, oh, not Skarner, Skarhole, you're just kind of stuck there, taking 1,000 auto attacks from a Titanic Gore Drinker Kled, who's going to just delete you alive.
Oh, Tufts University. I think they're listening to the broadcast because they have set themselves up a death brush here. If Pudgy or Ramen walks up a little bit too close, even if King KMC, as he's not incredibly tanky, with this Maokai build with a smart sapling, just sniffing out the potential danger on that one. It's not going to hit anybody, but that is just going to make sure that nobody dies to this death brush. Nicely played.
And the best part is King KMC pinged the bush before throwing the sapling in. They knew there was 4 of them waiting there. And if they keep scouting them like that, a pick becomes that much harder. However, this dragon fight about to break out. I think we need to see the TP from Jackie soon if they're going to try to contest this.
Yeah, this is what makes this Maokai pick so incredibly valuable. Just the vision control that you get. Wards be damned. Who's going to walk up and tank this sapling in the face of this full AP Maokai? He's almost got the Shadow Flame in inventory as that third item. He's 5-1 on this pick. These saplings hurt so badly. The dragon has spawned up. Jackie is still on this top side of the map, has just taken down that top tier 1 tower, still holding on to that teleport, feeling comfortable. The dragon is going to be started up. It's already down to 8k. The teleport's finally going to come through. King KMC is running out into nature's grasp. I feel like I've seen this fight before. The smite comes through. King KMC is going to take it away. The Echo immediately gets deleted after his Chrono Break absolutely picked up. Pudgino is going to pick up Rose Yang, and the fight is already over. It's a double kill for Jackie after the teleport, and DePaul University Red have blown this game wide open. They've taken the reins, and they're going to look to secure themselves the Baron.
DePaul has just taken everything. They took the top towers. They took the dragon. They took the TP. They took the lives of Tufts. And now they're even going to take everyone's favorite giant purple worm and get another 1,500 gold stack. That's going to be a 3k gold advantage. They're on Soul Point. They have 27% bonus armor and magic resist on champions like Mundo and Maokai. They are going to be such a hard team to take down. They might be 30 minutes in, they might have a scaled victor, but they just have so much stats on the side of DePaul right now.
Yeah, it gets to a point in the game where you're just saying, okay, like, obviously the players can't see the gold lead like we can. They can't tell that they're only about 2,000-3,000 gold ahead in this game right now. But you can hit tab, you can see that you have 3 mountain dragons, and you're like, oh, I'm the tankiest Mundo alive right now. Even my Maokai, who's building full AP, has a ridiculous amount of tank stats in his inventory. This Xayah is now even harder to kill with all of these defensive options that he has. It becomes a bit of a question mark for Tufts. Like, how do you deal with this front line, let alone how do you deal with this back line?
And honestly, we see Mundo looking to pick up that Spirit Visage right now, and if he goes Spirit Visage and then throws in a Thema on Kaisa or Kled, that guy will never see the gray screen again. He will live for the rest of this game. A level 16 with Mundo, Spirit Visage of Themas is not, it's just not feasible to kill.
Yeah, we do see Based Black is going to pick up that move up for himself. We're still playing for that carry jungler. His Victor is scaled. This is a 3-item Victor, closing in on 4, depending on whether he decides to go for the Void Staff or the Zhonya's in that 4th item slot. But Based Black has been given a lot of gold in this game. He's nearly on his 3rd item, looking for that death cap, trying to just apply as much burst damage as possible to this Xayah. And I do have to say, just given all the mountain dragons that have come through, Xayah and Seraphine are actually sitting on like a decent amount of magic resist, as we just get Kind Inquisitor trying to make something happen in the bottom lane, trying to make this Victor a little bit uncomfortable. He's going to flash away, but the Cleaver is still going to catch that spell shield. Kind Inquisitor is still just walking at him with the ghost. I mean, that's a flash for a ghost trade on a Victor. You're pretty happy taking that one.
And it's not even just about the flash for a ghost trade. I mean, Liquistor's just built different. It's about sending a message at this point saying, yeah, throw these lasers at me. Throw Chaos Storm at me. You see how it doesn't even chunk half my health bar with me still having ultimate up? Yeah, have fun. Have fun contesting this next trick. Have fun contesting this next Baron. It ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, this is also the Leandries plus that Blighting Jewel on Victor. He did opt for a little bit more defensive itemization with that Seeker's Arm Guard and with the Banshee's Veil, but this is a tank shredding Victor build. This is what the person he's designed to kill with this itemization. if he's not able to burn through this Mundo, there's no one on this Tufts side who can.
Yeah, the thing is now, like, your goal to deal with it is going to have to be either trying to find fights without the Mundo involved, or trying to pick off the enemy team one by one without interacting with the Mundo. Maybe letting him run at your Leona or your Kaisa, hoping they can peel him off, while the rest of your team, like Based in Black and Artiuno, go after the backline. Because realistically, if you're trying to front to back, it's not going to be an easy thing to do.
Yeah, this is not a situation where your team is allowed to front to back. The Dragon is going to spawn in a little bit over a minute's time, I think. I can't see the timers at the moment, but...
A minute and 5 seconds.
Yeah, a little bit over a minute. Had the knowledge on that one. So it is going to be the question of Tufts University. You really cannot give this last Mountain Dragon. How are they going to be able to grab control of this pit before the Maokai starts setting up the saplings? How are they going to be able to secure this Dragon before King KMC comes in? Because as we've seen, top laner or not, the man knows how to smite.
Oh yeah, King KMC has won every smite battle he's needed to take on this rift. And I wouldn't be surprised to see it again, because sure, there's the argument that Echo does a little bit more burst than Maokai, but you gotta keep in mind, this is a full AP with Maokai with a lot easier abilities to just combo when you want. He's not waiting for the 30-second charge on stuns and that. He sees an angle, and he puts down the grasp, he puts down the root, and his team can follow him up in an instant. The only way they can really do anything like that themselves is with Leona, which in fairness is still even a little bit harder to do when you're looking at Leona versus Maokai.
Yeah, we see the saplings just on the top side of your screen right now doing so much damage. Randall Gatto and Based in Black are already under a 3rd HP each. This is the question that I was asking earlier. How do you get into this pit if Maokai sets up these saplings? They both have to recall. I mean, Based in Black maybe with the Chrono Break is going to try and stick around, but look at the poke from DePaul University Red. There's no way for Tufts to get into this Dragon Pit, and with Artiuno forced to back, Based in Black potentially forced to back in near time as well. Oh, he's gonna get caught out. Zoni's his bird. He's gonna try and just buy enough time for him to shield himself with the Chrono Break as well, but he's stunned up, picked up, knocked down by King KMC, and that's gonna be the Dragon secured for DePaul University. That's our soul.
Now that is a Mountain Soul in their pocket, and there's nothing on the map for Tufts to try to take back. They can't go after Baron. Of course, they're jungler dead, and King Inquisitor just once again sprinting after Victor. And just look, he lost, let's see the exact mathematics here. He lost 1,000 health sprinting at a virtually full build Victor.
Yeah, this is like now that he's got the Void Staff inventory, maybe that fight will be a little bit more Victor favored, but it's not going to change by that much. This is, like you've been talking about with all these Mountain Dragons, 36% increased resistances. Even Xayah, happy to just tank that laser to the face, does not even care. And I want to point out, as much as I like the itemization in this game from almost everybody, Rando Cattle has opted for the Phantom Dancer as a 3rd item. There's no Blade of the Ruin King for this Kaisa, so despite all of the... Oh, Rando, this is a little bit dangerous for you. Jackie's not going to drop the bear just yet. Going to let that one go. But Arduino, now the one caught, gonna try and make his way out, but the Nature's Grasp is gonna find him. He's gonna find a stun onto Xayah, though, bring that cleanse and the Feather Storm, but Ramen Hoodlum will pick up that last hit. And with the Dragon Soul in inventory, it looks like DePaul is just gonna try and shove it down this bottom side.
I'm not gonna lie, one of the strongest members of DePaul right now has been that cleanse on Ramen. It has kept Ramen alive for so many opportunities, and they've just played it exquisitely.
Oh, Jackie, he's gonna get stunned up, fully CC comboed through, no bear able to be dropped for him. Randall Cat is gonna find that shutdown gold, but now it's Kind Inquisitor in a 1 versus 3. He's just stalling time for King KMC to get here. King KMC is gonna flash forward. Kind Inquisitor is gonna find the kill anyway. 1 versus 3, this Mundo does not care. He goes where he pleases. Tufts tried to make the desperation Baron call, but Mundo said, no, 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 this is my house.
Mundo was bullied in that top lane all game, but once he got that 4th Mountain Drake, he has come knocking. And just like that, you go from feeling horrible in the top lane to feeling like the final boss of DePaul University, because he just took a 3v1 for free, sat there for a while, burnt ultimates, and said, yeah, I still have half my health bar. Try again, go back. You lose all your souls. Go back to the campfire and try again.
Yeah, this is Mundo People have said this often of champions in League of Legends, just for champions who get too strong in certain situations. But I think Mundo is literally Thanos right now. All 4 of these mountain dragons are just pieces of the Infinity Gauntlet that he has pieced together, and now it is complete, and he has snapped this game away from Tufts.
Oh, absolutely. The thing is, it's not completely over. It's just very, very difficult. How do they win? I think the deal is when that Elder Drake spawns, they have to find a way to steal it. If they all die in the team fight stealing it, it's not worth it. So it's kind of on Based in Black to sneak into that pit at some point and smite it away. And he might have to do the same with Baron, to be completely honest with you. With 2 inhibs down and only your top lane left to fend for it, it's kind of scary seeing Based in Black on the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, this is a point in the game where DePaul University Red really could start up this Baron. I think practically whenever they wanted to. I think the contest is so difficult for Tufts. Even with all of the all-in and all of the single target poke that they have, which single target do you pick? Are you going to try and go after the Annie, who has Zhonya's? Are you going to try and go after King KMC, who's proven to be a raid boss in this game on his own, as the Baron is just, like I said, it started up at DePaul University's pleasure. They take it away, not even close to a threat of a steal.
I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. That was smited at 200 HP, and Kais's W was about to connect with it.
Like, it's not even close. Don't even have to worry about it. I wasn't scared. I can't imagine that any of them would be scared.
I think that's one of the afterwards fears. I'm not gonna lie, but with that Baron here, it's going to start closing out. They could just realistically commit 5 to that top lane, run it down, take that last inhib, and then close with the game. It looks like they're going to be opting to go for a mid play rather, which still definitely works if they can find the right fight.
He's stacking up the stun. The Bear finds 2 huge damage from Jackie, and the Encore is going to seal the fate of Rando Kato. They've got a super minion. They've got the Baron buff. They've got the soul. They feel comfortable to just run it down mid and end this game.
And like I said, they just needed to find the right fight. Happened to be right there. No ADC, no way any of them are going to die. And just like that, it's going to be DePaul
potentially finishing this out. We've got a bit of a fight. Based in Black is going to try and get damage down onto Ramen Hoodlum, but it is just not enough. DePaul University, in a stunning fashion, I would say, incredibly good, showing their strengths, taking game 1.
That was, I'm not gonna lie, that final fight was almost looked promising if they could keep it alive. But yeah, it's one of those things where Tufts definitely played well early. They were getting the advantage. We've seen Based in Black impacting almost every lane, but the biggest problem there was we knew DePaul were going to be an insane team fight comp, and if they could get to those stages of the game, all they had to do was team fight and close it out from there. Without having a sizable advantage, Tufts, sure, they got 1,000, 2,000 leads early into the game, but the thing was, it felt every time they were getting ahead, DePaul was finding these little plays here and there to pull it back. They kept finding ways to, like, sure, they're 2,000, let's bring it back to 1,000 gold, wait to team fight. We bring it back to 1,000 gold lead, wait to team fight. And then once they were only down 1,000, 2,000 gold, when it came to the big dragon fight, when Mountain Drake's spawning, when Baron's spawning, it's no longer a fear to them because they just have so much lockdown for anyone who's ahead on the side of Tufts.
Yeah, and speaking of lockdown, King KMC on this Maokai, absolutely, in my opinion, at the very least, player of the game, getting that 3rd Mountain Dragon for DePaul University, making sure that this jungle was consistent, had all of the vision control with those saplings, and just made the map a nightmare to navigate for Tufts. We are going to be taking a short break before we head into the draft of Game 2. We'll see if Tufts University can manage to find some sort of comeback in this game and take us to a 3rd game in our series. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
what you don't know, 'cause we're far from certain fate. And we'll make our final stand, lost in the dark. We've come so far, another step to rid the pain. Go and be counted till you're lost in, 'cause only nightmares break their flames. So stand upon these fallen lands and follow in our Father's plans. Yeah, until the end we will remain, and we'll hold on until the last Fellow armsmen, I ask you, will you follow me tonight to break their spine and reclaim what once was mine? Those cravens backstabbed me, deceived me. Never shall I tolerate their crimes again. Now let the hunt begin. Oh, 7,000 souls scared and daunted, such a tale of woe. Not too long ago, this village was a golden scene of hope. Call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace, restore our Gloria to live forever. Bring down the dark regime. I know how to unleash eternal power. Lead us to order. I am the light bringer. Fellow warriors, I ask you, should my campaign come to an end, there's way more to avenge. Oh, 15 million souls living in this realm without much hope. Not too long ago, this kingdom was a golden state of hope. Call down
Welcome back, everybody. We are just underway for our bans for the second game of DePaul University Red versus Tufts University C. Tufts did opt in after their loss in game one to keep on the red side for this draft. So we're going to have to see how they change up their picks and bans and how their style of game is going to change going into this all-important game too.
Yes, and I'm expecting definitely to see some changes from Tufts University for the pure sake that although on a lane level they played extremely well, we've seen a lot of the trouble happen when it started to go into those team fights. So I'm definitely expecting to either see a more split push heavy comp where they don't have to rely on team fights as much, because we did see Kled get a sizable advantage over Mundo in the top lane early on. Or vice versa, maybe commit to a more team fight heavy comp. Maybe you can still pick aggressive lanes early, but maybe something like Misfortune with a Jarvan jungle, something where you can still have that early aggression, but it will translate into the team fights as you start contesting dragons, as you start contesting heralds, as you get later into the game, because they did great when they were ahead, but the problem is 2 dragons doesn't matter if you can't claim out that soul.
Yeah, if you're not going to be able to stack that soul fully, the 2 dragons you have, especially it being a Cloud and a Chemtech, it really didn't make the difference for Tufts. And I do already like change coming out of this Tufts draft. They have decided King KMC on that Maokai, just a little too strong. Not going to let him have that one. The rest of the band's coming through. It is going to be Sejuani taken away as well, alongside that Caitlyn for Tufts University. Meanwhile, DePaul University Red going to be taking away the Amumu, the Gangplank, and the Nocturne. I think that's the same bands as the first round, if I'm remembering correctly.
To be completely honest, I gotta be a little bit concerned that although Tufts did lose game one, I'm surprised we didn't see an Echo ban come out of them. I think Echo is a very, very strong person to ban when we see how good Based in Black is on a micro and a macro level with that Echo.
Yeah, they did opt instead to take away the Amumu and the Nocturne, that flexible pick and Nocturne we talked about in game one. As alongside that Amumu, just making sure that you're really going to force Tufts if they want that comfort composition. You know exactly what jungler he's going to pick.
Yeah, I got to imagine so. Now, of course, we are still seeing a very, very shadow draft from game one. Like, Maokai's banned, so that's not going to pop back up, but Kai'Sa and Xayah already brought back out again.
Yeah, I wonder if we're just going to see the Echo pick up by Tufts just to make sure that they have that comfort jungler for themselves, or if they're going to lock into Leona, make sure that it doesn't get picked away. They are going to take it. It's going to be leaving up this jungle for a little bit longer. So potentially, I guess, if DePaul feels comfortable taking the Echo for their own jungle, they could pick it up themselves. But we're seeing that same bottom lane matchup, although without the Maokai to influence it this time. So maybe the early game can end up being a little different. But I wouldn't be shocked to just see DePaul University lock in Seraphine plus a jungler here.
Are we running it back? If I say Seraphine picked up, I'm going to think that we're just running it right back. There it is. The Seraphine is here. Oh my God. We are looking. I feel like I've seen this before.
Yeah, we do just have a little bit difference in terms of the order, in terms of the bans. So it's going to be the question of now, what does DePaul pick up? If they want to pick up this jungler right here, what are they going to use to replace that Maokai? Because King KMC is looking on top of his form in this series. So what does he want to pilot in this game too?
I mean, I think there's a few things you could definitely pick up. You could see maybe an Udyr or a Fiddlesticks, a team fighting AP jungler would be strong. Whoa.
No, they're going to grab the Annie for themselves, lock down that mid lane instead. There is, again, the flexibility between the Seraphine and the Annie for mid lane and support, but we're expecting to see them run pretty much that exact same comp. Seraphine and support, grab that Annie for the mid lane. Tufts is hovering the Echo again. They're thinking about just locking that one in for Based in Black themselves. They're going to timer tick down. I wonder if they're going to do it.
I'm so curious. No, they finally changed it. The first change we've seen so far in draft is a Kassadin.
I love this Kassadin lock-in. This is something that we got banned in the second round, in the last round of picks, and something that I think really would have worked well for Tufts as a more comfortable mid champion for their mid laner. Something that scales, I think, honestly, even harder than Victor does. Just like,
definitely.
When you see that level 16 Kassadin, you know that he is unlocked and suddenly, like, kind of similar to Kale, where it's like, hey, you know, levels 1 through 11, like, he's scary, but we can handle him. And then he hits that level 16 mark, and it's just like, oh, hey, I can't be alone in a side lane anymore, or he's going to pop up in 2 seconds, and I'm going to die.
And the other thing is, there's a trinity of 3 broken champs in the mid lane. Asol, who's disabled right now. Annie, whose buffs have been on fire. You're seeing her skyrocket in play and win rates and everything of that matter. And of course, Caston is back to a presence where it's almost reminiscent of when he was 99.9% presence. I mean, it's nowhere near as close, but he feels like he's one of the strongest mid laners in the league right now. So the mid lanes of both these teams are going to find a way to both be very, very oppressive.
Yeah, you just gave me a culture shock thinking back way back into season 3. Kassadin just permanently banned every time. If you were on red side, you were taking the Kassadin ban no matter what. As we are in our second phase of bans, we do see the jungle pools being knocked down extensively here. We've gotten, I think, 6 or 7 different jungle bans already. The Wukong and the Vi and the Echo in this second phase. I wonder if we'll see one more, or maybe if DePaul wants to pinch down that top lane pool. No, they're taking all of the comfort away from Based in Black, the Echo, the Kayn, the Nocturne. These are his 3 most played in solo queue. So I wonder where in the tier list is he going to drop himself to?
Yeah, that is going to be interesting. So right now, the biggest difference in comps we're going to see is between these junglers. Both of them going to be forced to play a different champion than last game, and I'm wondering how that's going to connect to the overall base of the game, because we see them making such a heavy impact throughout the game that having them switch champions is going to put them in a whole different thing. But here's the first pickup.
Yeah, that is a Hecarim lock-in for Tufts University. It's definitely, I would say, a similar style of champion of Echo, where you're trying to be a teamfight disruptor or potentially a burst champion, depending on what kind of build you go for. I do like it for just the follow-up with Leona, with Kai'Sa. You're allowed to do a ton of damage, and I think DePaul University wants to run back as much of their old draft as possible, as they're going to pick up the Mundo for themselves. They're waiting for as much time as possible for this jungle pickup for King KMC. I have to wonder, with his pool being pinched so hard, what is he going to pick up here?
I have to expect maybe an Udyr, I'm expecting a lot of CC and something tanking. Zach could be very, very good. Jarvan could be good. But there's the Udyr.
There's the Udyr, yep.
And Udyr's pseudo Maokai at this point. AP tank who runs down. You got that E that literally can stun their entire team. And I think against Hecarim, Based in Black's going to have a hard time playing this game, because one Udyr's done, and that's the fight for you. You're not going to pick up that speed again, and it just becomes very difficult for you to really do anything.
Yeah, I don't know how much like Team Fortress 2 you play, but there's this one particular scout gun called Babyface's something, but it is the scout gun where you're trying to like pick up as much speed as possible by not getting hit, but as soon as you get tagged once by like a stray bullet, you are going to get knocked down to 0 speed. And that feels a lot like what's going to happen to Hecarim in this game. You're going to like try and build up as much speed as possible, charge in there with the Onslaught of Shadows, but then Andy's going to drop the bear on you and suddenly you are at 0 speed and you're going to the gray screen.
I expect Based in Black to literally be Tufts University's speedrunner right here. So I can only imagine they're going to literally just be sprinting it across every lane and making as much as an impact as they can humanly possible. But that being said, we look at these two teams. We look at the comps again. I still have to side with DePaul University. I think their team fight is just as good as last game. Of course, we're not going to be seeing the poke damage come out from the bushes and with the saplings. I think now they have 2 champions that are just kind of unkillable if they're found in the same situation. Udyr never dies. Mundo never dies. Heal cut is going to be a huge priority for Tufts. And honestly, there's no one who applies it all that well.
Yeah, your best applier for anti-heal, I think, is going to probably be Hecarim. But even then, like, you don't really want to be stunting the Hecarim's build. His items, power spikes, are so important for him. Either getting, like, the Divine Sunderer, or if you're building for, like, that pure one-shot damage, the Duskblade and the Man Immune, you're trying to farm up as much as possible. This is the recently rebuffed Grievous Wounds. Riot did take a step back on the Grievous Wounds changes. It is now just 40% across the map. There is no more empowered anti-heal. So you can just pick up that 800 gold component and be okay. But like you said, the best applicators is going to be like Kai'Sa, Hecarim, champions who really don't want to be stunting their builds with that early anti-heal.
Yeah, I guess the other option too, though, is Gwen when they're scissoring through the whole team. That could be an option, I suppose. But it's definitely not going to be
damage and percentage health damage. So, like, there's possibility that she'll be able to get through the front line. But I think that sort of takes away from Tufts' possibility of looking to just win the side lane. Gwen into Mundo is similarly to Kled versus Mundo, but I think a little bit even more Gwen favored. Mundo's going to have a hard time in the early game. Gwen does a lot of true damage, a lot of magic damage, a lot of percentage health damage, which Mundo really doesn't like to play against.
And also, how do you land a cleaver into someone who's untargetable from far enough away, right? It's
Gwen is
going to
immune.
definitely be difficult. Once again, if he can find his way out of the lane, if Mundo can find his way out without giving up too much like Latson, maybe only giving up 1 to 2 kills, and letting Uda just really focus that bot lane again, getting them ahead, by the time team fights come, he's still going to be tanky. He'll have the heart steal stacks. And maybe once again, we'll see him running towards that cast and taking 0 damage and just living the life.
Yeah, I think especially now that that mid laner is not really a champion who can build to shred tanks. Kassadin is really a one-shot squishy champion, and that's all his identity really can be. You do have Gwen, who's a much better tank shredder than Kled is, and will be able to cut down this Mundo to size a lot easier in the side lanes. But it is still that thought of you have Kai'Sa and Gwen as your tank shredders into Udyr Mundo with a Seraphine to back them up. Is that enough tank shred if you're going to be taking a 5 versus 5, or are you going to be forced to try and play the side lanes with Gwen, with Kassadin, try and just play the split push game, let Kai'Sa and Hecarim play defensively in the mid lane, which really is not the kind of game that they want to play.
And of course, there's not really a tank on Tufts University. Like, you can argue Gwen and Hecarim for frontline, and Leona, I guess, but is that really frontline when you're against a Mundo and Udyr? So you got to ask, how is that going to impact the game? But I suppose all of that and more is going to be answered when we go to game 2 of the Rift. We're in the spectator delay. I don't think there's much longer left. So just stay tuned for that, and I'll go ahead and let Brittany walk us out here.
Yeah, we are going to be staying tuned just for a little bit longer as we wait for the spectator delay, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back for game 2 of Tufts University C versus DePaul University Red.
For we have come
We are back for game 2 of DePaul University Red versus Tufts University C. DePaul University, in a stunning fashion in game 1, took their first win of the series and are looking to set themselves away from this series and get the win.
Yes, they certainly are. We're once again seeing similar shades in the top lane. No flash on either champions. Of course, Ghost TP on Mundo, and this time Ariox taking a play out of Iron Liquidizer's handbook and taking the same summoner spells. We're going to TP Ghost on the Gwen. Same opening. We see that DePaul really aren't looking to find a fight early on, but this time they're getting a little bit punished. There's wards across their top side. They're going to see Udyr starting that blue buff, and that could definitely change the course of the early bot lane.
Yeah, I know earlier in the draft we were thinking about like, hey, are we watching the same game happen again? Did we suddenly switch into like the first draft? DePaul University have played this level 1 exactly the same way in both of these games. I wonder if this is something that you could potentially, if you're a team that's scouting, take advantage of, because we see DePaul University walk down to that bottom brush, get that ward down. Ramen Hoodlum hanging out, just making sure that there's no bottom lane shenanigans happening. But it does mean that he's left alone for a decent amount of time, as both junglers are going to be starting on the top side here. It's looking like it's going to be pretty slow early game.
Yeah, and I mean, you have to kind of expect it. You got like a Cast and Annie mid. I don't expect to see a whole lot till Caston hits level 6 and Jackie really starts looking for any misplays from that Caston. In the bot lane is where we're probably going to be seeing a lot of the action, provided Kind Liquidor doesn't look for anything aggressive. I don't think he can into the Gwen. It'd be very, very difficult. But I think what we're going to be looking for mostly is that jungle pressure. But with champions like Udyr and Hecarim, you're almost certainly expecting a full clear from both of them.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about Kind Inquisitor probably not being able to trade into Gwen. We did say similar things about potentially not being able to trade into the Barrier Ignite Kled. And we saw what Kind Inquisitor really wanted to do there. We'll have to see if he's got a little bit more caution in this early game, as we saw Based in Black put a lot of pressure up there on the top side, make sure that Kind Inquisitor was really put down in that lane. But yeah, like you're talking about, both these junglers just kind of full clear on their top sides, take their camps away. Both these junglers very happy to just sit back and full clear their camps and get as much XP as possible.
Thing this time though is Based in Black is definitely going to be looking for a tempo lead over King KMC, right? Hecarim is one of those champions that has a lot of speed and a lot of pressure when it comes to the laning phases of the game, but once you start moving to the team fights, although he can find a really good Fear of the Dread, I think it's called the ultimate there, when it comes to getting out of laning phases, if Hecarim falls behind, the game gets very, very difficult for him.
Nice little electrocute proc in the mid lane. I've been playing a lot of Annie support recently, as I am a support player, and I think she is so incredibly strong on this patch, both in mid lane and in support. I've been doing a lot of experimenting with runes, things like Airy or Dark Harvest or Electrocute. I think the one that has had the most success for me, at least, is the Electrocute, just the amount of pressure that you can apply in lane with that QW auto. It's a really nice burst of damage. I do like that Jackie is applying that pressure to this Kassadin in the early game, because when that Kassadin hits 6, or even when they get to like level 11, it's going to be so much harder to get him out of lane and move him away from his tower.
The other thing worth mentioning, though, with Annie's rework being so impactful, right, is that sometimes it's hard to tell how much damage she really does, because it's not like the old Annie where you might have had hundreds of games against her across a variety of different seasons. Now it's a lot more difficult to judge how much damage is going to come out once that stun hits and how safe you really need to play. So it's something that you definitely have to watch out for if you're Tufts.
Yeah, we did see both junglers just looking to play aggressive on that bottom side, but neither one of them ended up governing for anything. Based in Black just picked up that Scuttle Crab and is looking to pick up actually the double Scuttle here, as King KMC got the early recall off. He's got the boots in inventory, but it does mean he's giving the tempo to Based in Black, like you were talking about, this Hecarim staying on the map a little bit longer, farming a little bit harder, maybe making that first impact that Tufts is looking for. So we've got a bit of a fight on the bottom side. Nice pullback from Ramen Hood, and the flash and the cleanser burned from Rando, but now we've got the engage on the mid lane. Jackie's going to use that shield to keep himself safe. The flash forward from Artiuno is not going to be enough damage. And they'll just trade flash for flash, and a ghost on top of it as well.
Now he barely survives that. They get the flash mid, but however, King KMC is going to pick up the temple in the jungle off that. It's almost certain that Based in Black needs to back. He hasn't picked up many items. He's still sticking around to try to clear, but it means trying to get a gank off is going to be a lot harder because he's not going to be doing a lot of damage. He doesn't have any of those early components that he needs when he's going to be looking for these ganks across the map. So I think King KMC, if he can find a solid gank during this time, it could definitely put DePaul ahead.
Yeah, this is kind of the thing with these junglers that are really good at self-sustaining. I think champions like Hecarim, even like Udyr, like Maokai, you have to be really, I can't think of the word off the top of my head right now, but you have to be really disciplined. That's the word. In when you get your recall timings, because if you just stay on the map forever, sure, you'll be healthy enough to get your clears, but your clears are going to be so much slower, and you are going to be so much weaker if you ever get invaded or if you ever take a fight. So as we see now, Based in Black finally going to get their recall off. They'll start stacking that tier, and this is the kind of discipline we're talking about. You want to have that good recall. He recalls with enough gold to get his first component, have a little bit of extra AD, that extra movement speed, which is really important for Hecarim to be able to get on the map. And it's going to mean his clear is healthier, his clear will be faster, which means he'll be able to impact the map sooner.
Certainly, and that is definitely something that he's going to be looking to do. Of course, like you said, the mana immune, not mana immune, I'm sorry, I'm blanking, tier picked up from Based in Black. That's a strong early item onto Hecarim, and something you're going to want to be stacking as early as possible. So having that off that back is a really nice component to have, and he is looking a sizable amount stronger than Udyr if they were to meet up with each other. But the fear you still have to have for Based in Black is if he gets stunned by a team that has so much CC, what is Hecarim to do? How is he going to find his way to pick up speed if a gank like that occurs? And that's the problem. The only real lane you can kind of see him ganking without having that risk is the top lane.
Yeah, and the top lane is really not where we were expecting to see a lot of the pressure. We're really just expecting Ariox to get an early lead in this lane and sort of run away with it. We already see that he's nearly up 25 CS in that lane, and we've seen a lot of jungle pressure on this mid lane, actually. Based in Black is doing his best to make sure that Ardino can get this safe scaling lane, play as comfortably as he wants to, stack up that tier, stack up the Roa, get himself to that level 16 power spike that really is the win con for Tufts.
Yeah, it is definitely a win con that they want to have here. The TP just burnt off Kind Liquidator in the top lane could mean a punishment could come if you're able to get that kill. He's not going to be able to TP back for waves. But we're seeing both objectives about to be in the map. We're 30 seconds away from Rift Herald. And the question becomes, are these junglers going to keep trying to find plays in the lanes? Or is this where they start turning their focus to waiting for their laners to get prio and focusing maybe the Rift Herald if you're Based in Black or the Dragon if you're King KMC?
Yeah, this is actually pretty interesting as we just look at the gold right now. Just from farming alone, Tufts University is nearly at 1,000 gold lead for themselves just off the farm difference in that top and in that jungle, as all of the other lanes are pretty much in equilibrium. The early impact has not really been seen from either this Hecarim or this Udyr, which seems right now to be going in favor of Tufts, as they do want to get that late game Kassadin, that late game Gwen, even that 2 or 3 item Kaisa. Just a little bit of aggressive trading in the mid lane as Jack is going to drop the timbers just to zone Arduino all the way off. Make sure he's forced to stand far away from the child. But yeah, this is just a very low impact game right now. We're still waiting on that first blood, 8.5 minutes in.
And of course, the stun didn't go up, but it's going to go.
Oh, Jackie messed up the stun. Arduino did not get stunned. I mean, there's no stun on Based in Black either. Jackie still has no flash from the earlier gank, and that's first blood solo for Based in Black.
And this game definitely a lot less bloody than last game, which means if it keeps going this way, that first blood could be very, very impactful. It's put them about 1,000 gold ahead, or at least extended their lead to over 1,000 gold. And when there's not a lot of kills on the board, that first blood just becomes so strong. It's going to help that Hecarim clear faster. And considering we haven't seen a whole lot of impact made by King KMC yet, if Udyr can just kind of, not Udyr, sorry, if Hecarim can kind of sit on that, just keep clearing their camps with that added damage they're going to get after that back from their components, it could be a very, very strong kill to have.
Yeah, I do think is really important. We did see Jackie right there kind of mess up the micro right there a little bit. Threw out the Q with the stun primed and threw out the W immediately afterwards, which takes the stun before that Q lands. It means the Q doesn't stun. Arduino is free to hop back in and try and provide some support, though it didn't end up mattering as Based in Black just took the ante from 100 to 0.
And that's kind of the thing with champions that are the flavor of the week, right? And Andy's definitely one of those flavor of the week champions where she's so strong that if you have the opportunity to play her, it's not a bad idea to play her. But you get little errors like that of people who are, even if they're semi-comfortable in the champion, it's still, you don't know every intricacy of the champion. And that's definitely something that, I'm not going to lie, even here in the color, I'm sitting there, I'm like, why didn't the sun go off? But you're completely right. The W goes out a second beforehand. And like that, you're going to ultimately not get the stun. It's one of those things that only come once you start refining the champion, refining your play style with it.
Yeah, we do see a lot of action on both parts of the map right now. Mid lane, the engage attempts to happen, but Arduino is fine to just walk away. He cleanse immediately from Ramen Hoodlum in that bottom side, trades the cleanse and the ultimate for just that solar flare. Nice engage from Rose Yang. And we saw Hecarim attempt to get up there towards the top side, punish that Mundo for overstepping, but he had the ward, so he's able to just, again, go where he pleases and walk away.
And we're finally starting to see a little bit of that tempo lead coming from King KMC. Sure, he hasn't been able to make an impact in the lanes, but they got the first Hextech Dragon in this game. They're looking at the first Rift Herald right now, and it's looking like they're going to get it considering Pooji was able to rotate over. And
Airmax is very low. He's going to pop the needlework to try and get damage out onto this Mundo. Huge amounts of burst from the snip, and suddenly Kind Inquisitor is not super happy taking that trade. He's just going to pop the ulti and walk himself away with the Ghost.
Snip, snap, and looking for the double tap in that top lane as they try to pick out Kind Inquisitor. Me and you are both in there. We're looking at the health bars. It's looking to kind of favor Mundo. But just like that, the amount of damage Gwen's able to do, especially to a tank like Mundo, is absolutely incredible. And since Mundo has no CC, there's really no punishment she's able to make. And now she's going to be coming back to that lane with Riftmaker.
Yeah, she has the full Riftmaker, but this Rift Herald is popped in this top lane. That's immediately 3 plates taken down, and Ramen Hoodlum is still solo on this bottom side. Actually still has the flash available. Jackie is nearby in case of any attempted follow-up. Rosiang is going to miss that Zenith blade. Hecarim is down here as well. Based in black, the solar flare is going to come out, but there's no follow-up onto the Xayah. Just get a nice spear from the onslaught of shadows from Based in black. They might be able to pick up Jackie, but Jackie's got the burst with the bear. He's going to pick up the deletion there. Ramen Hoodlum will be able to pick up the kill in response on Rando Kato. Has the flash if he wants to try and get aggressive onto Rose Yang. Knows that the Leona does not have flash. He's going to flash forward, get these last few auto attacks in, pick up that kill. It's a nice 2 versus 3 on the bottom side coming out in favor of DePaul University.
And DePaul has to be smiling ear to ear after that. A really...
King KMC, I don't think this is the fight you want. Gwen is immune. She's going to pop the Ghost. She's going to try and get on top of King KMC, but doesn't have that dash reset up, so he's just going to be able to pop his own Ghost and walk away.
You know that meme where the guy's smiling and instantly his face just drops into like a neutral pose? It's like, wait a minute. That's what was about to happen to Paul right there. I'm not going to lie to you. But after everything that has happened, all things taken into account, they have to kind of be smiling pretty hard as Ramen having the 2 kills here, picking up the Kraken Slayer coming out of base, and being able to just do so much of that lane when they're by themselves, when their support's roaming. You gotta feel a little bit of confidence, especially when it's your ADC, and they have a team comp that's very heavily meant to play around that Xayah.
Yeah, the ability to play in that 2 versus 1, not panic while your support is roaming. We saw him play really nicely defensively, just immediately burning the cleanse and ult, respecting the amount of CC that can come out from Leona. And speaking of CC that'll come out from Leona, the Zenith blade, he's going to go a little bit wide, Based in black, knocking the Annie away from the rest of the team, which means that Annie will be able to walk away. Jackie, no flash, is going to survive that encounter by the skin of his teeth.
Yeah, and again, that's got to feel good because every time you survive a gank, it's not just about surviving the gank, but it's about how much resources did they just commit to that gank that haven't affected you. You know what I mean? Every time a gank happens, a jungler's going and they're spending their time. A support's going, they're spending their time in that mid lane, and it's giving the enemy team the opportunity to get some more gold in other lanes, to find different ways of punishing those ganks. We're seeing Udyr, he's being able to take his camp, he's being able to secure Skittle Crabs, get some vision down. Every time a gank fails, that starts going on their side. And although Based in Black has been very, very powerful with his ganks, and he's found a lot of opportunities, these last couple have not worked out well for him. And the lead between him and King KMC is going to start to dissipate if that is to continue.
Yeah, and I think also, even if this lead remains exactly the same as it is, it's going to start mattering a lot less as Udyr picks up these tank items. He's already halfway to that demonic embrace. He's getting closer to these full tank build. It's going to be very difficult for the rest of Tufts University to actually kill this Udyr. We were talking about this in draft, and just the limited amount of tank shredding that they have on this team. It really is fully relying on Gwen and on Kaisa to do most of the tank busting. And with an Udyr and a Mundo to be able to match them blow for blow, it's going to be really difficult that Tufts is trying to take team fights in the mid game.
Yeah, I certainly have to agree with that statement. One interest of mine, though, is that dragon spawning in about 30 seconds here. And that dragon could mean a second stack for DePaul. And last time we seen them heavily target those dragons. They were able to pick up 4 mountain drakes. But this game, they were able to start early. They still have a very good team fighting composition. And if they were to get this second dragon, that could mean Soul at 25 minutes for them.
Yeah, picking up this Infernal Dragon especially, it's not the same as the Cloud and the Chemtech Dragon that we saw last time. You feel the effects of the Hextech and Infernal a lot more, as Kind Inquisitor is going to pop the ulti, just barely have enough HP to escape the needlework. And now Gwen is kind of out of ammunition, and Mundo is going to get that Heartsteel proc, and suddenly Ariox has to be a little bit more careful. He does have his jungler up here. Now we're on, I believe that is that's another Mountain Rift for DePaul. So if they can start getting these dragons stacking again and get themselves to that early Mountain Soul, we've seen an unkillable Mundo once. Are we going to be able to see an unkillable Mundo again?
It's very possible. I gotta be honest, when you look at the stats-wise, I think you can say, yeah, maybe Mundo isn't having as easy a time as farming last game, but when it's coming to the fights, Kind Inquisitor has been doing a lot better. We're not seeing him to sprint at the Gwen anymore. He's sprinting at till he knows he has just enough health to be able to disengage. He's stacking that Heartsteel very, very nicely. And although Gwen's got a bounty, although Gwen's got 50 CS over him, his team's been able to leave him there, be confident he's not going to die. He's got first turret, for God's sakes. And on the other side of the map, they've been able to make an impact on the bot lane, even kind of with King at KMC able to just farm the objectives.
Based in Black is going to try and make a fight happen on to Kind Inquisitor. He's going to pop the ghost for himself. He's looking to walk away. King KMC here to support his jungler. He's got the Awakened Ram, so he's just going to be able to get the stun, CC immunity, and walk away. And that's just ghosts traded for ghosts, and otherwise very even trade across the map, just health bars.
We see the gold is looking pretty even. Map pressure favors topside a little bit, but not by that much. So the real interest to me right now is those dragons. But you notice, when we're looking at the gold gap, it's almost entirely from CS, right? Caston, 152 CS, has not died once.
Oh, Ramen Hoodlum, a nice cleanse, and the ulti burned again. Honestly, if you're Rosiang, this is a situation where you should be happy getting that trade. But if you're not able to take advantage of the times when Xayah doesn't have that cleanse, burning it doesn't particularly matter.
Especially not when you're losing Rift Herald on the top side of the map. It gets a lot worse. Because that Rift Herald is going to break open the map and probably secure.
Rosiang gets the Zenith Blade in. They know that Xayah is missing a lot of her defensive tools, but Rando Kato is not able to get the follow-up necessary. So Ramen will burn that flash, but be totally safe in this lane.
If we're being realistic, it's a flash and cleanse for a Rift Herald, which if you ask me, that Rift Herald's significantly better than Xayah having flash and cleanse. Because again, it can break open that mid lane, maybe secure them that third Drake, and it's something they need to kind of secure. Because although they are looking to be in a fine position, if they aren't able to secure that soul before that Caston hits level 16, this game does get a lot harder for them. And yeah, Xayah's a very defensive champion, and they have a lot of defensive ammunition to play with. Level 16 Caston can still run her down.
Ooh, snip, snip, snip. Ariox is in this top side. He's taking this fight. He's fairly happy with it. Gonna burn that ghost to try and continue to chase down the Mundo. Mundo really fully stacking on this armor at HP, so this is a absolute dream for Gwen to be fighting, but she still doesn't have the damage to be able to break through this Mundo health bar through that ultimate.
And not just that, one thing I have to be surprised about by that Gwen is I know we've spoken to that she has a lot of true damage, but I feel like she would benefit so greatly from an orb here when going after the Mundo, because we're seeing the reason Mundo's living is he's scaling up so much health.
Gonna get the engage in the mid lane, flash away from Jackie, just respecting the amount of burst that this Hecarim and Cassidon will do. Even with what I would say is a fairly defensive itemization from Arduino. He's got... I'm sorry, I'm hearing music. I don't know where exactly that came from. We got the Rod of Aegis plus the... I don't know the exact name of that item, but it built into the Banshee's Veil.
Yeah, sorry, I'm also hearing, like, Randy Orton hearing voices in my head right now, and it's a banging time, but it's also a banging time in this bot lane as
Yeah,
we just got a
the
big
shutdown goes over to Ramen, I've totally forgotten his name. Ramen is a double kill for the Xayah. Ariox, though, is trying to get the trade in response. The Featherstorm is going to get away from the Needlework, but Ariox is going to pick up King KMC in response. It's a triple kill as the Feathers get pulled back and find Rando Catto. The base of Black is looking to get revenge for his bottom lane. Xayah, though, kiting this out very nicely. Doesn't have Flash or Cleanse or any more of this defensive itemization, but they're looking to pick up the Penta for their AD carry. Jackie's going to deny it, though. Pick up the kill on Based in Black, and now Kite Inquisitor has teleported in. Gonna go to town on the Gwen. Xayah picks up her 4th kill of the fight. She's 6-0 now. It is a massive lead for DePaul University. They're 3K in the lead, and they're looking to take down this inhibitor tower just at 20 minutes into the game.
It's a quadra kill for Xayah, a single kill for Annie. They ace the squad, and although you're worried about cast and scaling, that is a huge lead for the side of DePaul University. They're going to be able to secure that Mountain Drake off it, almost guaranteed. Gonna put them on soul point, and now the question is, can they complete the timer? Because the Burst definitely on a timer. Because look at that casting right now.
Arduino has the level 11 marks. That dash is up a lot faster. Jackie, I think, is in a bit of trouble. Not enough minute for the dash just yet. Finds it. Gets the shutdown gold. But Timbers is trying to get revenge for Annie. Doesn't manage to find his Arduino is going to get over the wall again. But that is Annie's life traded for that 3rd Mountain Dragon. That is soul point. We are inching ever so closer to this raid boss Mundo once again.
As I was saying before that, before I was so rudely rudely interrupted by Addict ruining my point, or actually proving my point there, they're on a time limit to get this game over before Caston hit 16. We just seen what he did level 13 to that Annie. He said, hi, I'm level 13 Caston. I am going to sprint at you and just make sure you're deleted completely off my Summoner's Rift. And that's Caston at level 13. So even with that Mountain Soul, it's definitely going to help a lot, but a level 16 Caston with Roa, who's going to be running wild through your team, going to be running wild through players like Robin and Pooji and Jackie, who, even if they get CC, he's one tap of the R button from flying across the map. How are they going to close up the game? That's the question. Can they beat the timer here?
Flying across the map, King KMC is going to fly in and get a stun onto Ariox, but I don't know if this is exactly the fight that he wants. He's going to be able to dodge away from the scissors beautifully. The encore comes through, but it's not even needed as King KMC is going to pick up that last hit. Jackie now in trouble again on the side lane. There's just no damage that he can put into this Kassadin. The amount of magic resistance that Kassadin has is so huge. He's going to flash forward and pick up the kill, but he dies in response on the tower, which means that there's no Kassadin here for this Baron contest. It is now 4 versus 3 on this top side of the map as Ariox is still dead for another 20 seconds. All Based in Black is in the pit now. Baron's down to 2K, it's down to 1K. The smite comes through for King KMC. He's gonna pick it up through the smite of Based in Black, and they're gonna find themselves the Baron. Ramen Hoodlum is trying desperately to get on top of Rando Catto, but I don't think he has the move speed. Hang on, Rando Catto trying to make the fight happen, trying to make the engage happen. The feathers fly. Ramen Hoodlum picks up good kill, goes godlike on the Xayah.
And Ramen is just so strong. They got the Kraken, they got the Navuris, they got the Berserker Braves, and they are just running through the team. They're finding their angles, they're throwing out the feathers, and they are destroying every member of Tufts they can find. But the clash to be seen is still yet to come as Caston has just hit level 15. The Roa is completed. That means the XP is still almost there for level 16. And if that's level 16 hit, the clash of the Titans are going to come when we see Ramen and Addict go face to face and potentially determine what side is going to win this game.
Yeah, this game is now entirely on Arduino Addict, just getting on top of this Xayah with the help of Rose Yang, hopefully helping them lock down this Xayah, make sure that she has nowhere to go. But again, I will say, Arduino has opted for this very defensive build. He's got the Mercury Treads. He's got the pieces of that Banshee's Villain inventory. He's fully relying on his base damage, essentially, to be able enough to knock down this Xayah. It's probably going to be enough, but it means that the burst is going to come a lot slower, which means that there's more time for DePaul University to have some counterplay, because we got to fight in the top lane. Kind Inquisitor doing his usual standing and hitting. He's very close to winning this fight. Actually, Ariox is down to a sliver of HP. The Baroned up minions are Kind Inquisitor's friends, and they're going to pick up the kill for him in the 1 versus 1.
Hey, counterplay that.
Kind of Inquisitor now potentially in trouble again as Rando and Based in Black are here, but he's just going to pick up that passive again and be unseeable. Dodges away from the Zenith play, dodges away from the Solar player. In the meantime, on the bot side again, Arduino now has that level 16. Jackie, you're only level 14. I don't think this is a fight that you can take. Arduino jumps in, picks up that kill, but in the meantime, in the mid lane, they've just taken this mid lane inhibitor for free with all of the time that was wasted hitting this Mundo in the top side.
The timer's run out, and Boss 1 is seen on the map, but that Dragon timer ticking away. It's about to spawn. If they are able to claim the Mountain Soul again, we're certainly going to see Boss number 2.
Oh, they find Based in Black farming up his Krugs. They're going to pick him up. Ramen Hoodlum goes legendary on the Xayah, 8-0-4. He's got 1,000 gold shutdown, and we've seen Arduino, what he can do to this squishy mid laner. So if this Kassadin can find the time to get on top of this Xayah, there's still the potential for turnaround for Tufts University. They're down about 7,000 gold, but now Arduino is here behind the enemy lines. He's getting on top of Pudgy Dodge. He's got the burst. He's looking for the damage on top of the Seraphine. A nice flash away with the Encore. He's going to find the kill, but he gets shut down. Immediately, Robin Hoodlum picks up the kill, and now the Xayah gets to free fire like crazy. Jackie picks up Ariats. Kind Inquisitor is running down Rando Pato in the meantime. There's nothing that this Kaisa can do. One item barely completed. The second item trying to be on the way, but it is not in time. Mundo has raid boss levels acquired, and it looks like DePaul University are going to try and finish the game.
And we've seen the clash of the Titans we were waiting for all game, and it went over to DePaul. The Xayah was just too strong, and they're running down those towers. They're going to be looking to close out the game right here. Tower 1 is going to fall. Tower 2 is right next to it, and all they have to do is take down the Nexus as DePaul is going to find their first victory in this split for that team. The momentum has begun if you're DePaul University, and that's gotta be what you're happy to see if you're a DePaul fan tonight.
Yeah, if you're a DePaul fan tonight, you are super happy with your team's performance. Actually, incredibly clean gameplay. They played around their win condition so well. Ramen Hoodlum on this Xayah in this second game was such a clutch factor. In that 1 versus 2, with all of the roaming that Pudgy Dodge was doing, he was able to find the time in lane and find the space in lane to not get down CS, be able to stay even in kills and then get ahead in kills, ending up going legendary deathless on this Xayah. For all the time that he spent in that 1 versus 2, that's an incredible AD carry performance. You love to see it.
And you've seen it both games too. I was a pentakill in this game, and last game they were running wild. There might be a weak side ADC, which isn't super traditional with the way season 13's been going, but they played it perfectly almost. I mean, second game, you have to argue that they did play it perfectly. 0 deaths is a feat you don't see often in comp, especially with how bloody some of these games got, and especially with a level 16 casting on the table. But they were just so good. The cleanse timing almost instantly, and they were able to use their defensive options in separate ways so that every time they tried to punish Xayah for being there alone, they still had a defensive option. Either they had cleanse, either they had flash, either the feathers were ready to fly. That Xayah was just never really able to be sent to the gray screen. And because of that, they kept getting gold, they kept turning fights, they kept getting XP, and were just such a strong force to be reckoned with on that Summoner's Rift.
Yeah, and for Tufts, it's a tragic loss. Going 0-3 in your first few weeks is not going to feel very good. I appreciate that they were sticking to their style and really trying to make the comfort picks happen for themselves, but they just weren't able to actually end up making it work in the end. They had Based in Black on these carry picks, but he couldn't get enough space. They had Arduino, who again is a substitute mid laner, put on a stellar performance in that second game on the Kassadin, hit that level 16 mark, but I think the target selection just wasn't there. Obviously, like, we're still fairly early into the season, so this is something that Tufts can clean up. They can still find their way into playoffs contention, but it's just not going to happen tonight, as DePaul University is going to take their win, set themselves up to get into that playoffs contention, move themselves up the standings a little bit more, and honestly, it was a hell of a show as well.
Oh, absolutely. This was 2 very, very fun games to watch. They both had aspects where you could really see it going either way. Of course, that first game, it was so close until that soul was picked up. It was really leaning towards both sides, and then once the soul was found by DePaul, you could see which way it was leaning towards. Well, that whole game, it was neck and neck by both teams. Of course, this game, you had the threat of that level 16 casting, and it was hit. It definitely felt like it could have been Tufts' game from there. Ultimately, I mean, the ramen noodles were cooked and ready to just tear down that rift, right? So, and I mean, everyone knows
him cook.
they let him cook, baby, and every university student loves some ramen, right?
Absolutely.
It was very clear there, but I think going into the future of Aegis, going into week 4, right? The question now becomes for both these teams, I think, when you're looking at DePaul and when you're looking at Tufts. For DePaul, are they going to be able to steamroll the momentum going into future games? The building blocks are there. They have the first win. That's very huge for getting the confidence. And you can tell the plays they're making were confident plays. They clearly have a lot going right for them. Can they continue this into the future weeks? And when you look at Tufts University, you want to think to yourself, what needs to change? I think you can tell their players are very skilled on their own, but the problem I think they're kind of having from analyzing these games is once you start clashing together, that's where I think the area of focus needs to kind of be put on. They need to find ways of better interacting, maybe some champions that have a little bit better synergy with each other and have a way to either focus more towards objectives or maybe develop a composition where that's not as important and they can find different ways of accelerating their lead. I definitely think Tufts can be a team to be reckoned with. It's just about going from playing as 5 individual players who are very, very good at what they do, because no doubt about it, players like, especially based in Black, like we're seeing these flash plays from the Echo. We're seeing him delete people off. They're very strong players. You can't take that away from them. It's just about finding a way for the 5 strong players to become that super team where they're able to work together and make plays around the rift together instead of just being 5 strong players.
Yeah, and while we could talk to the Heat Death of the universe about what the teams could do better, what they did really well, we're not going to talk all your ears off. That is going to be it for us on the broadcast tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Zach, behind the scenes on the production, running a absolutely perfect stream tonight. Thank you all so much for joining us. I have been Witcher Britty. This has been Romeo next to me. I'm going to point the right way this time. We will see you all for the next AGL. Thank you so very much. Take care.
Now there's only one thing I can do. Fighting till the end like I promised to. Wishing there was something left to lose. This could